Salut.
Salut.
Okay, I'm here with hyrqBot, and we're going to do one of my Grilled interviews. And so, until you joined SK Gaming, okay, a lot of fans who are casual fans, they maybe watch like IEM tournaments or something. A lot of them wouldn't have known your name, like they wouldn't know you off by heart, like, oh, he's a jungler, he's from France and all this stuff. But when you joined SK, like there's a high profile team, quite famous players in it. That's the part where they'll know your career from, okay? So before that, when you played in all these French teams, you played in like Millennium, etc. You even subbed for Fnatic at that tournament at Paris Games Week. How is it possible, if you're doing so well now as a jungler in SK, so well at your position, that you weren't able to get into a really famous international team before SK Gaming? What do you think was the reason why you never got a chance like that?
I think first, my English was really bad before joining SK, and even when I joined SK, I was not sure about if I would do it or not. And I tell them, like, my English is really bad. If you take me like that, and I will try to improve very fast. And they accept it. So that was the most important point for me, I would say, to play with in an international team. And before SK, I was playing with Millennium, and my dream, let's say, at this point of my career was to make a French team. So with only French, we failed at it. We got a lot of problems, roster change. So my motivation to play with French player was a bit gone. And I got this offer by Kevin to join SK, at least to try with them. So yeah, I accepted. But about IEM and stuff, I think I did IEM World. It was 2 years ago with Millennium too.
Yeah.
But we lost every game.
Okay.
Let's say we didn't play this tournament.
This was something I wanted to mention, actually. Your first big tournament for the world scene was this IEM, where unfortunately your team lost all the group stage games. But in doing so, even though you weren't on a top team, you had a chance to at least play some teams from around the world, okay? So you got to play like American teams, like Dignitas, CLG, etc. So when I was looking up your AMAs and your other interviews, and people always ask you stuff like, who do you look up to, which junglers did you used to like back in the day, you know? You would always name Saintvicious as one of them. When you actually got to play against him, he was in CLGNA at the time, and you've seen him since. Like, when he was at his peak, what was he good at? What was it about him that you looked up to as a jungler? What did you like about Saintvicious?
I think it was the time when jungler was playing very aggressive, very passive. Sorry, yeah. Like Snoopy Maokai. It was this time Odd1, the Odd1 and stuff. And Saintvicious was one of the jungler who didn't care, you know. It was like, okay, I will just play a very aggressive champion and try to win the game alone before the mid game happened. And I was like, okay, why not? I should do the same as him. Like, it works for him, why not for me? And that's why I tried to take him as an example, I would say, but knowing that I could be better than him maybe 6 months after, you know.
Oh, okay.
And that's how I improved. And my goal was only to be the best jungler, and came Diamondprox at the same time, I would say. And after, of course, I was more not about Saintvicious, but more about trying to get as good as Diamondprox. You know, you got period like that in your career, and you just try to change who is your example to get good as him, as good as him.
So, I mean, did Diamondprox appeal to you in a similar sense, that he was like invading their jungle, he was all aggressive play? Is this like the style that you always are drawn to, aggressive play?
Yeah, of course. Like, I was talking like right before this interview with Joe Miller, and he asked me why you stopped to play Lee Sin, like you were playing him 6 months ago, and for me you were even better than Diamondprox. Not my word, his word. Okay. And I say, yeah, I don't know. I have no idea why I stopped. Maybe because Diamond stopped, you know. And right now I'm like, okay, don't play Lee Sin anymore, but I'm fine. I'm very confident in myself, so I will play Lee Sin because I like this champion. And well, now he's back on Lee Sin, so that's good to see it.
Okay, that's actually an interesting topic, because I've done interviews in the past with like Diamondprox and other players, and there's a famous quote from Diamondprox from back in season 2 where he says, you know, every jungler has to be able to play Lee Sin. And we know that in season 3 there has been a time, like you were describing, where Diamond didn't use it, some other players didn't use it. Is Lee Sin still viable right now? Like, does that saying still apply, that every jungler should be able to play Lee Sin?
I would say no. I wouldn't say that. I mean, it depends really of your playstyle. I mean, Stupe is doing really good at the moment with AG, and I think we'll never see him playing Lee Sin, you know. So picking Lee Sin or not as jungler is not okay. You pick Lee Sin, you're good. I mean, it depends how you play him. There is a lot of way to play him too. At the moment, there is a Thorin Lee Sin, so it changes everything, masteries, runes. So yeah, I wouldn't say that.
So we just mentioned you picked like Diamondprox, Saintvicious, and what you liked about them was this aggressive style. When I saw like a list of other players you picked out as like your favorite junglers, in this list you had Illusion, who's the Chinese jungler for Invictus Gaming. So he might not be such a famous player to people in the West. Is he also an aggressive player or something? Like what describe his style for someone who hasn't seen it?
Well, I mean, every good jungler, or I would say non-jungler in the world, Illusion, Insect and stuff, they all play aggressive champion, aggressive jungle. I mean, there is no way in jungle to be known if you don't play this kind of champion, except a bit like for the odd one in America, and I would say Snoopy in Europe. But if you don't play this kind of champion who make plays in jungle, there is no way you'll be known. So yeah, of course I quote them because they are the most known to play this kind of champion, and I like to see it. I mean, I prefer see a game with some Lee Sin, Xin Zhao, Vi, or every champion who just go 1v1 when they can, than to see people playing Maokai, Nasus, Skarner, that kind of champion. And I think everyone will be agree with me.
So you mentioned there you like Xin Zhao, and he's like been your most picked champion this season. What is it about this champion that appeals to you, or fits your style, or did you just know as soon as you saw it, like this is going to be my main?
I mean, the first time I played Xin Zhao, it was at Paris Games Week with Fnatic Mix, and I never played him before, like never. And we go in the stage and we saw everyone playing Xin Zhao, and they told me, hey man, can you play Xin Zhao? It's really broken. And I was like, I never play him. Yeah, no problem. Like it's one of my main champions. I can play him so easy. Okay. And I go in the stage and I play Xin Zhao here for the first time in front of the French crowd, and I just stormed 2 games in a row and we won the cup. So yeah, since this, I think he's one of my main. And he's like the kind of champion, you know, you are in the jungle, everywhere, you find someone, you can just jump without brain, like, let's go. And I love it. Of course, with Lee Sin is a bit the same, but you have to maybe take care of some stuff, you know, warding, and Xin Zhao is like you can 1v1 everyone.
Because actually Diamondprox has been playing Xin Zhao a bit himself, but his most played champion this season is actually Jarvan. What do you think of this pick? Like, does it suit his style?
Yeah, I think Jarvan fit Diamondprox a lot. Like, he's a kind of champion who can be very aggressive in early game, like he loves to do. And you can dive tower when you're level 6 pretty easily. And versus tactic champion like Orianna, for example, Karma, you can just go in, ultimate them, and they will have to flash, and then you can gank them 1 or 2 minutes after, free kill. So yeah, it fit him a lot. And I would say the funny part of this, it was the first part of the season. We are playing versus Gambit, and I was playing Jarvan, and we won the game really hard, I would say. And after the game, Jarvan, for the first time, like Diamond go on Facebook and he said something like, okay, I was just underestimating Jarvan. He's a champion who don't need skill at all. He's so broken. And just after that, he started to play Jarvan a lot. And right now, I try to play a bit Jarvan, who was my main before. And every game I play with Jarvan this season, we lost. So right now, he's like the cursed champion for SK. So I don't play him that much anymore.
Do you watch the LCS NA much?
Yeah, I watch a bit sometimes.
Okay, so I had a question along these lines of like champions that are played, because what's interesting is the player who's the most famous jungler at the moment in LCS is this guy Meteos for Cloud9, and he's like, this is his first big season. And when I looked up the stats on the champions he's done the best on, he's played Nasus 10 times and won 10-0, and he's played Zac 7 times and won 7-0. But what's strange is, I looked at the European players who are the junglers, and they're not really playing these champions. Like, you've played both of those champions a total of 3 times this season, like one of them 2 times and one won the other. And then when I looked at OGN, the Koreans, they had only played Nasus in the whole league once, and Zac is like fairly often like banned out, etc. So is NA totally different in terms of champions and how jungling is played? What do you think of this topic?
I don't really know. I mean, I don't play in NA, so I don't have the experience of you know, playing versus them.
Is there a reason these champions aren't played so much in Europe though?
I would say in Europe it's really hard to play like Nasus or something like that, because people will just stomp you before you get like level 6. They will know you will try to get a Drake level 6 too with your ultimate, so they will prepare, you know. And we are very used to Nasus, and the past season Nasus was one of the most big champion, and now everyone know to play versus him. I think it's like more champion will just go down and down. That's all.
What about Zach? I mean, we do see him sometimes. Like I think Snoopy sometimes plays him. Do you like? Is he banned out much here? What do you think of him as a jungle champion? Because sometimes we see him top lane as well.
I think Zach is really good jungle. He's the kind of champion who is totally unpredictable. Like he can jump from a bush to another bush without being seen, and just jump on you, and you're like, oh, the blob is on me. What can I do? And yeah, after like it's more about the players. I would say for Zach, like in Europe we got Maluno, I think, who plays Zach a bit. Snoopy right now, and I tried a bit, but I think we lost 2 games too with Zach. So right now I'm playing most likely only aggressive champion for my team.
One of the other things about some of the international tournaments you played, like the IEMs, is that you got a chance to also play against some Korean teams. You played Frost twice, and you played SK Telecom, the one that used to have Reaped and those guys on. What was actually your, like, I assume you've watched them on like OGN and stuff, play in their own league, but when you actually played against them, was it what you imagined it would be like?
I don't know, to be honest. I think they improve a lot. When I was looking the replay of Katowice, for example, I think we were all bad. I don't know, I mean, okay. Me, everyone, like so not bad, but we improved so much, everyone, and we know more about the game 6 months after than 6 months before, you know. Everything changed, and right now I think the knowledge we got and stuff, I mean, I would say we can beat Koreans in Europe, but I'm not sure 100% before this happened, you know. Of course they were an all-star team, but it's totally different. I mean, it's just player you put together to make a mix, and you drop them to a competition. But when you play like versus Cloud9, or when you will play versus, in my opinion, Lemon Dogs in World, I think it will not be the same for the Koreans.
Until you joined, SK had been like really up and down in their results, and usually it was based around them removing players, and the position they always removed was jungle. Every month or every 2 months it seemed like they got a new jungler, keep changing jungler. If anything goes wrong, new jungler. But now with you, they've played 2 whole splits with you, so almost about 8 or so months is I think the longest they've been with one jungler. Yeah. And a lot of people said you were the reason why in the spring season SK sort of was able to, like, at least in the regular season, like jump ahead of EG, who before had been ahead of them as CLG, you know. What do you think your impact has been on SK Gaming as a jungler? I
think they missed someone like me before. I'm not throwing flower to me or something, but I will explain why. It's like when we talk about the game and stuff, when we sit in a room, I feel like they miss someone who understand like the level 1, for example, the pick and ban phase. They understand the strategies about the game and do it, because I feel sometimes if I don't do it, nobody will do it for me and the team. So I think I fit with the team right now, and I think every player is agree. Of course I got down, and like the first part of this season, I would say I was playing not as good as was before this season, and right now I'm getting back on the track. Like, I don't know, since week 7, I would say I'm playing, I think, very good. And right now there is, I mean, after it's always different when you are in a league as well. I mean, changing a player when you are playing, for example, LCSU, is very hard choice. You have to build everything again, like strategize. You have to talk about everything and remake a cycle. And every time you change a player, you remake the cycle. And I think by changing that much player, SK as a team, they understand it's not maybe the good choice, you know. So now we are more focused. Like, okay, we are playing bad, but we were playing good the season before. Why change a player? We should just go back to our basics and improve again. And that's what we are trying to do. And this week is starting very well for us.
When I did an interview with Candy Panda and I asked him what is, because I mentioned the same thing, SK had all these different junglers, so what's different about hyrqBot? Okay. And he said that he thought like the quality that stood out about you was that your timing is really good on when to do ganks. And this is obviously like a skill for a jungler, because if he can do it, then he puts his team ahead. Is this something you always had? Do you have like just a sense for when to do this? Does it come from studying the game? Where does this ability to like this good timing for this come from? And what do you think of it?
I think it's just about watching replay. More you watch replay, and more your brain will be used to think, even if you don't want him to think. You know, it's really hard to explain, but my team call me sometimes, but it's very rare, you know. They can call me maybe 1 or 2 times a game, but that's all. Most likely I just go where I want when I want, and it works like that for us, so no way to change it. And I prefer it because I feel like, I don't know, just a bee flying on the map and doing what you want to do.
At this one quality, like good timing on knowing when to gank, who is another player who comes to your mind as this is someone who really has this talent? Who do you think of when you think of that?
In Europe, I would say Dexter.
Dexter?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you know much about him before this season? Was he like a surprise to you this season?
The previous season he was playing with Dragonborn, and honestly, I will say honestly, because it may be rude, but he was playing pretty bad. And I think right now he's one of the best junglers in Europe, and maybe around the world too. And the Diamondprox team are performing very well because of him, and because of Knockduck, of course, Tabs. Well, every player on that team is so good, but the timing of this guy are really impressive.
We've seen in the last few months, especially in places like, well, a few in Europe and in Korea as well, players trying to switch position. And so I'm thinking like Extinct used to be a mid laner, he played top. Tabs was a mid laner, he plays AD now. And in Korea, there's a few famous examples. Like actually Insec, a lot of people thought he was the best jungler, but he switched to top lane, and people used to think Reaper was a very good top laner, and he now switched to jungler. So if we think of players trying to switch positions, it's going to make people think like, what does each position actually require of the player who plays it? So if you were to describe to someone what jungler requires of to be a really top level jungler, what is required? What qualities should this player have to be a top level jungler?
I think, like we were talking about this with the team, and if you look at everything, every position in League of Legends, they need to have some stuff. Like top laner, for example, they are just gentlemen, at least in Europe. AD carries are the man who just want to play alone all the game, but they have to play with the support. But they just want, you know, to play alone, farm and do their stuff. The mid laner is a man who want to help everyone. Like you can see PK, OC, Knockduck, they just move everywhere, try to help everyone. And while back to season 2 it was more about farming, like Forgan and stuff, but it's not like this anymore. For jungler it's like more the guy who want to just carry, I think. You know, it's just a bit mad in his head and want to go everywhere and just make something happen. And I think this is like, not how am I, because I'm not mad or something, but it's like, I don't know, the main point, you know, just try to change the game by only one decision making. That's what I love in jungler. One good gank, one good move, one good drake at the good moment, you can change all the game.
So you mentioned Snoopy there. The thing about Snoopy is the period when his team and he himself was so successful was season 2, and everyone, the famous storyline of season 2 is that for junglers it was more viable to play the tanky support players, which is who he loved to play as his champions, you know. And so going into season 3 where it was more aggressive style, more carry style, this is when he wasn't doing as well. So is it the case that it was the opposite scenario for you? Because the time when you weren't very well known was in season 2. You weren't getting onto the really big teams then. You were having like okay success. And then now season 3 is when you're really like in your prime, doing your peak. Is it the opposite, that like the season 3 style of jungling suits you more?
I think now in season 3 is not the opposite. It's more like you can do whatever you want. I mean, you can keep playing even Maokai. We saw some Meteor makers playing Maokai and get good result, I would say. I'm not sure, but we can see some Zac who is not very aggressive, I would say. In jungle at least he can't invade or something. Nasus the same. I mean, the good thing Riot did with this new jungle is like they opened the jungle to a lot of more champion, and there is a lot of style, different play style you can do right now. Like you can even play Maokai and take 0 creeps in your jungle after your level 6 and let your top lane farm, for example, the golem. Your mid lane farm the raves and the wolf, and you just try to gank somewhere like bottom, for example. But you can also pick Lee Sin and just clean very fast the jungle and try to gank somewhere. there is a lot of possibility, and that is why this jungle right now is one of the best.
So in that case, if for some reason Riot tomorrow, okay, decides, okay, so for season 4, we're going to go back to season 2 style of jungling. We preferred that style. We don't like season 3. So we're going to go back to the Snoopy style of jungling. Would you be able to adapt? Like, could you play those champions and still be as good as you are now?
I mean, my main before was Maokai, so should be fine. Was Maokai and Scanner, so I should be fine with this. But I don't think they will do this because they want the game, you know, to be more attractive, to attract more people. And of course, when it's like season 2, I don't know, it's sometimes a bit boring to watch. Right now, if you watch the game, there is sometimes, I don't know, 40 kills at the end of the game. Why change it? If they want really to change, they should make the jungle like even maybe a bit weaker to make everything able to jungle, like even, I don't know, Anivia, Akali, I don't know, everything. And this could be maybe awesome, but maybe too much too, you know? Open the door of the jungle to everything is maybe risky for Riot. So I don't know what they will do for season 4, but I hope with all my heart they will change something, because I don't know, I like when they change something in jungle like every season. I think it's a good way to move, you know.
In the past, when people thought of the jungler, they always used to talk about the synergy with one position. So it used to be, in the back in the day, they would always talk about the top in the jungle. And then in Europe, because of all the star player mid players, they think about the synergy between jungle and mid. So on your team, now it seems like in the modern meta, like the jungler can go anywhere he wants on the map in theory, depending on the strategy. So within your team, who is the one player who you have the most synergy with, do you think? Who in game do you just think the same way, or you know what they're going to do? Is there someone who stands out in that sense?
Well, Kevin.
Kevin?
Yeah.
What is it about his style of play or you that...
I mean, I don't know, I feel like every time I get in top, in scrim, even, no matter where, we always success. Like there is maybe just a little percentage of games when we fail, but I don't know, I understand his pick. Like for example, he got Shen, so he got what? He got CC, he got a bit leash life, so he can lane long for a long time. Okay, I will just take the mage. So I go Xin Zhao, for example, or listen, you know, his champion fit a lot with my champion. That's why I love to play with this guy.
Do you watch the Chinese scene much? Because I know you mentioned Delusion before, and he's like not someone who's so famous necessarily. Do you watch it much of like LPL or anything?
Honestly, right now I'm watching only OGN, not even GPL, and a bit of NA when I got time. But I think the best way to improve is just to watch his own replay. Oh, okay. I watch OGN to be sure I don't miss something about the jungle sometimes, but I prefer watch my replay and improve by myself.
There was a really weird scenario that happened where I can't remember what spurred this had to happen, but someone posted a picture of you in that subreddit called ladyboners. And for anyone who doesn't know, this is sort of like the equivalent of when men like look at like a pin-up of a model, like, oh, look at that girl, she's so hot. It's like the women version of that on Reddit, okay? And so not only did your picture get posted, but it got really high. It had like 1,000 upvotes, and the comments were all girls just like, oh God, look at him, he's amazing. And you know, the normal stereotype of gamers, especially if you say you're a professional gamer, would be that you'd be like really nerdy, you're like all day on the computer. So what was it like to have this reaction just come out of nowhere from all these women?
I don't know, it was like, I was just sitting in my room and I started to get a lot of messages on WhatsApp. So normally I never open, you know, I'm like, and I open the WhatsApp and I read like, go here, like, and I click, and I saw that. I was very surprised because, well, as you can see, when I have no makeup, I'm not that beautiful, and I was just very surprised. But I think it's good too, because yeah, people who are playing video games, they are not all nerds or all ugly. We are like just normal people, I mean, you know. So we just play it because we love it, actually, not because we are nerds or because we have no life or something. I mean, gaming for me was, I was just doing my study, and it was a choice of my heart to go here because I love it. So yeah, it was very surprising. I don't know, it was good feeling.
I read that you're a fan of basketball, the NBA, and so I have a question for you that will kind of like help people know how you play in League of Legends, but using basketball. So it's going to go like this. Which basketball player in the NBA like can be an old player if you want, or one from now, plays basketball the way that hyrqBot plays League of Legends. So pick one out and tell me why.
Magic Johnson.
Magic Johnson? Why?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm just fan of this boy since I'm young. I was watching all the game he did and stuff, and I even got a t-shirt of him. I know he's old, like 25 years, the t-shirt, and I don't know, I'm just so fan of him. And he was just playing with his brain every time, doing the, you know, the good, how we call it, pass, the good pass at the good moment, taking the good shot at the good moment, but not too much, help his friend, and the team rocks.
So I always like to end my interviews with a hypothetical imaginary scenario, okay? And so one of the things I've always heard about the French League of Legends scene, okay, I'll give you an example. I used to follow Counter-Strike before this, and in Counter-Strike there was a scene which was the Russian scene, and the problem the Russian scene always had was that they could never keep a 5-man lineup together for long, because they would always argue, and then they would have the really good lineup, it would be doing well, but then as soon as it did badly, they'd kick this player, bring in another player, and sometimes it would turn out, because that was a good lineup, 6 months later they might bring that player back again, and so you'd think, why not just stick with it? Well, when I told someone this story, this is what it was like in Counter-Strike, Russians, he said, oh, well, that was the French in League of Legends, because they had all these good teams. They'd have teams like Millennium who were like raping everyone online. Everyone's like, oh, they're going to do so well. And then they'd come to the LAN, it'd be like not very good. If you, for this hypothetical scenario, okay, aliens come to Earth, and they say, like, we're going to destroy planet Earth, but it's going to be like in the movie Space Jam, okay? We're going to let the Earth play a game versus aliens in League of Legends to save the fate of the Earth. And so they come and they get hyrqBot and they say, we're actually going to let you pick the team, but we've heard this story about the French, that they always had all these awesome players, great teams, but they could never quite get like the world-beating team, you know. So we want you to make the world-beating team. It can be from any era of LoL, any player from the history of LoL who was French. You have to make the ultimate 5-man team. So who would you want for each position? Which French player?
I would take Soaz for solo top, of course.
Why?
I don't know, man. It's just the best. We got good solo top in France, but not that much as like other country. I would say like Germany, and Soaz is just like every game he play very well, and you can never know what he will pick and stuff. So Soaz for sure. And mid lane I would take. Mid lane is a bit harder in France, because if I can go back in the past, I could have picked some players, but I would say Shlaya, who got a
What about if you could go back in time? Who was the best ever mid laner from France?
The best ever? I don't know, man. I would say I don't ever know, to be honest. Like, they were all a bit the same level. So yeah, I would pick Shlaya for the experience and stuff. I think he's a very constant player too, and I like him. I know he like me, so it's good, you know, to it's very important, because like you said, in French we could have get some problems after. So bot lane, in carry AD, I will take No, I think. Oh wait, no, I will take Yellow Star as carry AD. I will put him back when he was playing in season 2, because you said I can.
Yeah.
So I will put Yellow Star season back.
Was he really good then?
Yeah, he was the best AD I think in the world at this point. So I will take Yellow Star at this point, and I will pick Jude as support when he was playing like with a here at LCSU. I think this team could work, honestly. Like, we all like each other, and yeah, it could work very well for us versus the aliens who come to the half.
Okay, do you have any final message for people, or someone you want to thank or say hello to at the end of the interview?
I will just thank everyone who support us. I mean, this season was really hard for us as SK Gaming. We lost a lot of game. We got blamed by a lot of people for this, but the fans are still here, sending message every day on Facebook, on Twitter, and trust me, it helps us a lot. So just thank for your support. I hope we will qualify for Gamescom, and well, see you there.
Merci beaucoup.
Je t'en prie.